Let's see. It'll show that we're not on, but we will be on. Hold on. All right. And let's record this. Let's see if it goes live here. Should be going live any second. Come on, buddy. There we go. Looks like that all cleared up. All right. Looks like we're live on Facebook. So you know what? It's Whiskey Wednesday, but it's gone wild and we're doing rum.
Hey.
Before we start tonight, I just want to tell you, tomorrow, actually tonight, starts our 3-day Christmas in July sale. So tonight to Saturday night, it's 25% off seven or more 750 bottles of wine. We get 15% on 4 packs of beer, 15% on mixed 6 packs, and 15% on 3 or more 700 and 750 milliliter bottles of spirits. If you get that, you get 15% off. And we're dropping 4 barrels tomorrow on Thursday. It's just like a whole bunch of stuff over the next 3 days, including our beer event on Saturday from 2 to 4, which has got like over 40 tables of beer. So it's going to be fantastic. We got some RTDs. We got a lot of the breweries are coming down. I'm mostly used to distilleries are coming down. So don't miss that. All right. There's still tickets available. It's $10. You get it back in a gift card, and you can bring a friend. And I will make the joke again. If you don't have a friend, Jesse will be provided for you for absolutely nothing. All right. So tonight we're doing a little bit different. We're doing Whiskey Wednesday Gone Wild. We're doing Privateer Rum. And joining me on the dais tonight is Bob McCoy. We call him Bob because that's his name. He's the real McCoy. He's been there since pretty much the beginning of Privateer,
Pretty
right?
close, pretty close.
You know where all the bodies are buried.
Exactly.
So that's good. And we're gonna do a local rum that's legendary at this point. And that's Privateer up in Ipswich. So
Mass, yeah,
yeah.
good job.
So tell us a little bit about just a little bit of the history of Privateer.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Privateer. I mean, it's an authentic story where it starts, right?
Right.
My boss, founder, owner Andrew Cabot, he's looking back to his own history, his own lineage. He comes across the original Andrew Cabot. So you're talking 6 generations earlier, mid 1700s, was in his day a very famous or infamous privateer.
Yeah.
Diving a little bit back into it some more, realizing he also has his own rum distillery right in Beverly, Mass. So right off of Cabot Street, you see Cabot Street. Cabot Theater is a very famous, name at that time. That's that same family, and had his own rum distillery right there. So, kind of full circle moment was, wow, this isn't just my history. This is a real tradition and regional tradition, and let's bring this back, right? Let's see if we can restore what this is. And so that's kind of the inspiration where it starts.
Okay.
And then from there, it was, we're celebrating our 15th year this year, which is pretty exciting. And yeah, I mean, I've been a part of it for a little over 11 years.
Yeah.
And it's been dynamic. It's been we're a small business, and
You've just about done everything there too.
I've done a little bit of everything there for sure.
Yeah.
Which has been great. It's the best
I gotta
way to
say,
do it.
Bob, what's your job this week?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these days I'm VP of business development, but it just means wearing many hats.
Yes,
per
exactly.
Right.
You go where the problems are and try to fix them.
Yeah, but I mean, exactly. And but what's been fun to be a part of all this is that we're bringing back a real tradition, right? The reality was, as some of you already know, I'm sure, right? Way before bourbon or even rye was America's spirit. Rum was America's first spirit, right? And and the rum in the 1700s wasn't really known for its quality per se, but towards the age of the 1800s or late 1800s, early 19th century, New England rum was kind of a thing, right?
Well, I mean, New England produced more rum than anywhere else in the world. I mean, now we think of it in the Caribbean and stuff like that, and that's where they're producing rum. But New England produced the most rum in the world.
Yeah, I mean, at one point there were a couple hundred rum distilleries in and around the New England area, right? And there were well over 20 in Boston alone at one point, right? So yeah, I mean, it was very much a part of culture, and we go back to the stories of how much it was part of revolution, and and of course that changed, post revolution, and by prohibition. Rum is kind of wiped out on the other end of that, right? And whiskey continues to kind of do its thing.
Right.
So we have an opportunity to kind of, reinstate that somewhat, right? And to be able to bring that back and restore what that history is, what that, what that culture is. And part of it's a learning process, right? So we're doing it today, but part of it is just us figuring out and finding out how we make the best rum we can and where we are. And the reality is that we can't make the rum we make anywhere else in the world, right? It's because of the climate and temperature and humidity we have up here that allow us to age the way we do.
Right.
So it makes it
And
exciting.
we're gonna try some. We're gonna try some of the rum that's been aged a little bit longer than we typically see. I mean,
Sure.
we're gonna go through. We're gonna go through like sort of like the flagships.
Yep.
I know it's privateer, but we're gonna go through some of the flagships and stuff like that you guys have. But and then we're gonna get into some of the specialties.
Yeah, it's exciting too because if you haven't tried privateer in a while or you haven't tried it before, I mean, as a young company, the flagships themselves have evolved, right? And
Right.
so we quietly kind of moved everything up to a minimum of 4 years over the last few years, right? And previous to that, we did have some younger rums. So
Right.
one of the big moves coming out of COVID, I feel like, many companies and people have their kind of before COVID and after COVID story, right?
Yep.
And for us and many people, it was dialing in who are we, what are we doing, right? And what can we do well here? And coming out of that other end was laying down a lot of juice. But, you knowing this, what we do here is you do something now and you got to wait 4 or 5 years to see what
Right.
it looks like.
It's not immediate. Right. There's no immediate satisfaction here.
Exactly.
So Father Time has to take his cut.
No doubt, right? And so for us, it was in 2024 debuting 4-year rums. We did the Queen Share a little bit earlier than that, but
Right.
of course, being able to look at some of these older expressions like your 6-year, which we'll do in our first 8 and 9-year releases. And so yeah, it's
Just out of curiosity, who is had privateer before?
beautiful.
Okay, good. Who's never had it? Ooh, this is about a half
Nice
and a
little
half.
mix.
About a half
Nice
and a
little
half.
mix.
Yeah, this is great.
What I like to say, I mean, it's funny because I feel like a lot of people think of spirits as this, and they are in a certain way. It's an essence, right? It's keep something in time, right? But the reality is that, and especially in a young small business, we're continually growing and evolving, right? And so I always say, the rum you're having tasting today is better than it was yesterday, and the rum we're going to make tomorrow is probably going to be better than it is to you tasting today too, right? And what's exciting about what we're doing is we're all kind of part of that journey right now, where we're together, kind of tasting and talking and kind of researching what New England rum is and what we can do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before they get restless and start attacking us, we probably should try at least
Probably
one
drink,
rum.
right?
Yeah, we should probably try one thing. All right. So, what's the first one we're gonna try tonight?
Yeah,
which is
today we're
number
going
one?
Privateer Bald and Bond rum. So this is actually a newer rum of our core selection. So we debuted this in 2024. The other selections have been around, quite longer than that. But for us, for our Bald and Bond, it was an opportunity to kind of lean into the American spirit story, right? As I'm sure many of you know, right? Obviously, you typically see whiskey, you see Bald and Bond all over American whiskey, right? You don't really see it in other spirits, and in fact, it's America's only spirits designation, right?
I love bottled and bond because when I see BIB, I already know there's some criteria that is there. I know it's going to be 100 proof. I know it's going to be done in one season, right? I know it's going to come from the same distillery.
Yep.
Those type of things are what allow you to take like bottled and bond from everywhere and sort of compare them because it really sort of really represents what the distillery does.
Sure, for sure.
So at least 4 years old. So I already know the age where I'm going to be working with.
Yeah, I mean, like today, so we back it up, right? It was originally created in 1897, Bald and Bond Act. You didn't know if you were going to a local shop and grabbing, a good bottle of rum or whiskey or whatever it is, or you're grabbing like grandpa's moonshine that was going to make you sick, right? And so government steps in, says, hey, it has to be made in a government bonded warehouse and all the rules that you met. 4 years, one distillery, one distilling team, one distilling season. 100 proof, 4 years old, right? All the things that make BIB. Of course, now everything, I mean, the government's all over everything. We know that, right? So no spirit gets made without some kind of supervision, right? You do need a government bonded warehouse, but the idea is today, like you said, it's more of just a symbol of.
It's more of a statement. I think to be honest with you, it's more of a statement from the distillery at this point because it's saying, okay, here's our bottled and bond. Here's our standard. This is what you should judge. I mean, it's almost really what you should judge it by, like just your basic coming out of the distillery characteristic is definitely going to be there because it's only 4 years old. It's not going to be too aged.
Sure.
Aged on 100 proof, so you're not going to get fooled by too much alcohol.
Yep.
that type of stuff.
I
And
love that.
that's why I love it.
I love that perspective. I mean, because it does. It showcases behind the curtain, because anyone can do a bottled and bond, but what is your bottled and bond, right?
Right.
And by definition, yeah, it does need to be pretty tight, right? It's only made in one season, so everything we pull from is within a 6 month window, right? So you'll find it being a little more linear, a little more structured, right? A little bit more kind of focused, but like as you said, really focus on what the distillery is and what it does. And yes, I mean, I feel like in some ways I think of it as a workhorse because that 100 proof is beautiful. You can sip it neat over ice, drop of water, in an old fashioned, in a multi ingredient cocktail that it
It's
still
going to get
stands
enough
up.
oomph to show up,
Yeah, exactly.
right? It's not going to get drowned out. What
So
do you
you
guys
think all
think? What
that.
do you guys think of this bottled and bond? Like it? Right? Get some really good flavors in there. I'm also getting like an orange, like orange in this
Yeah,
too.
definitely some citrus.
Yes,
Sure.
definitely almost orange peel, quite honest with you.
Very nice.
And then you're still getting some of that vanilla. You're getting some of that barrel influence because it's been in there long enough now.
Yep. I mean, I'm in
That
for 4 years,
4 years, you're
and
getting that in there.
yeah, I mean, what sets us apart in some ways, than especially other rum distilleries, is our use of new American oak, right? And for a blend like this, we usually use 70 to 80% new American oak to 20 to 30% used American oak. So you're able to
You can
get,
cut it down and
yeah,
sort of play with it.
exactly.
It's still like a lot of people don't understand. It's even when you're doing it in one season, you're doing this, you have these all in different barrels, right? You're still blending because you're not going to just put out one barrel. You're putting out barrels that are, you have to make a big batch of this,
Right.
right? So it all hits that criteria, but you have to put together what your like sort of house style is,
Exactly.
right? So you're picking all these other barrels to sort of go into that. And rum, unlike bourbon, doesn't have to be in a new charred virgin oak barrel.
True.
So you can actually now play with older wood that's been used one more time, so it's not really throwing all that caramel, it's not throwing all that wood spice to something that is doing that, and you
Yep.
can sort of work that balancing act out.
Yeah, exactly. It allows us to really kind of lean into all those beautiful new oak flavors, but we can back it up with some nuance, right? And some of the floral
I
and
like
fruit
that.
qualities you get, right? So it's a nice little mix of all those things.
I like this one. When you guys introduced this, I was pretty psyched. I'm a big Bottle and Bond fan.
Ah, fantastic.
And we're actually a bottle. Not many people know, so we're actually a bottled and bond store. We get by decree of my friend Bernie Lovers. We buy everything that bottled and bond that we possibly can get.
All right.
So
Love
we
it.
have bottled and bond, like and I don't know if we have any in right now, but we have like Applejack bottled and bond. We
Yes.
have like so we go the whole gamut whenever we can pick up bottled and
Yep.
bond. We do.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I mean, I come from the restaurant world initially, and yeah, I mean, that's like that to have a BIB, right? Whether it was a Rittenhouse rye or Laird's Applejack, bonded in your at your disposal in your well was always a great way, as I said, to introduce
showcase,
something, yeah,
right?
showcase something what they're doing. It's a fantastic way to do it.
Now here, this is not the next one we're going to do is the Navy Yard. Tell us what is because tell us the difference between the Navy Yard and
Sure.
why it's called Navy Yard and what different you do with this one.
Yeah, I mean, first difference, right? So we talked, I mean, we already touched upon it, small batch blend, right? We can take different barrels and we can make them better than some of their parts, right? And so we do that to create the Bald and Bond rum. What makes Navy Yard unique is that it's only single cask, right? This is a single cask, so everyone does have a slight nuance to it.
Right.
But our default, or our definition, should I say, of Navy Yard is single cask, cask strength, and new American oak. So whereas we talked about blends that have both new and used, this is only a new American oak cask. And the evolution we made with the Navy Yard is that initially it was a 2+ year product, and we quietly in the summer of 24 moved that to a 4 year product. What we found up there is that when it hits that 4 years, there's a whole new thing, right? So there's a
Well,
layer of complexity.
depending on the spirit that you use, I mean, we talk about this all the time. So rye whiskey, rye starts hitting 2 to 4 years old. You don't get any of that graininess that shows up. Now you're not using grain. Now you're using
100% grated
molasses.
molasses, yeah.
Yeah. So you're using molasses, so that's different, but you don't get sort of those young tastes that sort of that can fall through. At 4 years, you're definitely not getting that.
It's interesting. It's funny because there's two things at play there. As you're saying, one of them is the ingredient, right? But additionally, it's where you are, right? And it's taken us some time to figure out how things work up there because of where we are, right? The reality is that we all know it, right? We have these hot, humid summers, you have the cold, dry winters.
It hasn't been
And
hot this summer, has it?
not at all.
Oh, no.
But it takes a little bit for us to realize that this is what is how the rums are going to, evolve and develop in that climate over
Right.
that time, and all those things together, right? Whether it's new oak or used oak, we have not always had the same exact distillate. We've continued to evolve and grow the distillate, those small little tweaks, right? What are we seeing now? And we have a slower extraction, but we're really the questions we ask now: how long can we go in New American oak, right?
Right.
These are questions, right? But for us, what we've seen so far is usually we'll see, to your point, like at that 2.5 year mark. Ooh, this is tasty. It's bright. It's young. And we look
Right.
at, if you think of it as a person, this is that young kid running around, kind of all over the place, but really like bright and flavorful and tasty, right? Then 3 years, it's kind of like the adolescent stage, right? They're a little weird. You don't know how they're going to turn out, and hopefully they come out okay. But let's just to see what happens, right? And then 4 year, oh, they're grown up, right? We have all that beautiful flavors that we had at 2. We had all those weird life lessons in the 3rd year, and we've come out the other side as a kind of an experienced, layered, complex thing, right? So we've seen that initially at a 4 year. What we're seeing now with our newer distillate, because as I mentioned, briefly before, we had our after COVID story, right? And part of that is really kind of dialing in some of our ingredients and our ratios and what we're
Right.
doing. And by doing that, we're starting to now see the 5 year and the 6 year stuff's just come out. And what that's showing us is something else entirely. Like the butterscotch is coming through. There's more
Right.
development, more layers, all this stuff. So it's what we're really excited about, because we're kind of on for the journey.
Autumn spices
right
and
now.
that's poking out
Yeah,
in this.
exactly. We get a lot of orchard fruit in some of our
Yep.
rums. But yeah, Navy Yard, and then to
The Navy Yard on this one, the one you're trying, just so you guys know, this is 111.2 proof on this particular barrel.
everyone's a little different. So we go into
Yeah,
cask at
right.
we go into cask at 110. That's our barrel entry proof, right? So stuff is coming off is still 187, over 180 proof, right? And we slowly step proof it down. It goes into cask at 110. We find that's the sweet spot,
It's a
right?
nice spot, nice way.
Yeah, I mean, we can
Quite
go
a
in.
few other places that I like do the 110.
Yeah, I mean that's how bourbon used to be, and eventually they changed, and I think it's 130 up to
We could go up
135.
to like 125. Yeah.
Yeah. We found for the we want a balanced extraction, and we're getting that at that point. But of course, over time, you're going to have what we all know, Angel's share evaporation. So it will take up a little bit over time. So every barrel is a little bit different, but usually we'll see between 110 to 115 proof, give or take.
Okay. What do you guys think of this? Isn't that really good?
Yeah. Beautiful.
Some of
Awesome.
those dark fruits. It's getting really a lot of depth to it. A lot of I don't know. It's maybe the color that makes me think of it, but even tasting it, it's not like really. It's not woody and stuff. But I always like in my head, it's like mahogany. It's got like that, those rich grains and stuff
Sure.
like that start developing.
Yeah, I mean, New American oak, right? So you're going to get more of that essence
Yeah.
for sure, right? We get number 3 char for us, right? We get our barrels from Kelvin. They're charred with the number 3. You can do, 1 to 5 or 6, right? And so it's right in kind of in the middle of our char. It's outdoor season for 24 months, then we get it. But that first initial use, yeah,
Right.
I mean, it gives you all that beautiful oak and but still keeps the molasses structure as well, right?
But we got maybe a surprise later on too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. We like surprises.
Oh, you won't like this one, but it'll be great.
Oh, great.
All right. So these again, this is available all the time. We also we don't want to put out there is an amber, there is a white rum. These are like sort of the workhorse rums that you sell.
Yep.
That I need a white, I need an amber run. Boom, I can get privateer.
Yeah, New England white and our New England reserve rums. They're beautiful, 80 and 90 proof, respectively.
We went to the little bit higher echelon.
Yeah, we wanted to really
tasting.
dig in
Yeah,
for
exactly.
tasting this time, right? We love the white reserve. You can't drink them on their own. I mean, I think the reserve is the most versatile of the bunch, right? But these, if you're looking at really kind of exploring, we wanted to kind of move into that realm. But they're beautiful. We find a lot of use in, of course, restaurants and beverage programs with that.
Right.
But they're great to sip on their own or to put in a cocktail at home as well. And we look at as a value for what you get, right?
Right.
That's your quote
You're
unquote.
looking to do if you're looking to do like a real daiquiri or you're looking to do
Yeah,
a mojito,
exactly.
grab that white rum. It's
Yep.
great.
Yeah, and for the reserve, I mean, honestly, it's like, how do you like to drink? When people ask, like, how should I do this? Like, honestly, it's great with tonic, great with ginger.
Right.
It's great as a Manhattan. I mean, you can
Right.
really do whatever you want with it, right? Which is nice.
Now, so the next one we're going to do is the Queen Share.
The Queen Chair.
or the Queen Chair.
Yes.
You just have to say it that way, don't you? The Queen Chair.
Yes. Royalty.
Royalty. We do, here in the United States, we recognize no titles of nobility. So it's a Queen Chair, only in name only.
Exactly. I suppose so. The Queen Chair is actually, it's not just a brand, right? It's actually a technique of distillation.
Right.
So the shorter version, I suppose, right? So I mean, when distillation 101, right? You're heating, your wash, you're cooking your wash, and you're evaporating your alcohol, and then it's condensing on the side, and it's coming out, right? The first stuff that comes out is the heads, as you know, like don't drink that, you'll probably die, right? The stuff.
Oh no, you will. No,
you drink enough
probably,
of it,
not
yeah.
probably. You drink enough of it, you will.
The tails, you probably won't die, but funky off flavors, right? The middle is the hearts. That's the stuff that the distiller it wants to keep, and part of what we're doing, we have batch distillation. It's kind of thrown around a lot, but Dylan or Kat are there every day, tasting and smelling and making those cuts by hand. It's kind of crazy, right? But each one batch distillation, we collect those hearts, but the hearts aren't the same the whole time. Throughout their journey, the hearts are getting stronger and richer and more tasty. And at the very end, because it's not so black and white, at the very end, the hearts are super rich, but the tails are coming in and they're kind of covering up them, right? So you really can't taste them. So it's actually an old cognac technique. And what they would do is they would make an additional cut. They would take that little bit, that little transitional distillate when the hearts are rich, but the tails are covering them up, fold them back into their cognacs because it was known as being very flavorful. What we do instead is every time we distill privateer, whether it's the white or the aged product, we save that little bit. We roll over a stainless steel drum to collect that little distillate. And it takes about 15 to 20 distillations just to fill that up. And then we rerun it through the still. So the Queen Chair, where these all see a double distillation, the Queen Chair sees a third distillation. That third distillation is of just this very transitional distillate. And then we take it and then we go into barrel for at least 4 years. Small batch blend. We then pull our Queen Chairs together to make the Queen Chair. Why do we do all that? It's a different flavor. It's a different expression.
Yeah, you're gonna find different flavor on this.
And where we see like kind of more rich and powerful than Navy, right? In the Queen, we often see a little bit softer. There's maybe more.
There's some little bit more delicate flavors. There's some flavors that are sort of you almost have to explore. They're hidden flavors.
It's funny they say that too, because we sometimes, for our wine fans, we sometimes call this the Barolo of our rums. That you can sit this and let it sit and open and oxidize, or even decant it, and it will just continue to evolve. Right?
We call this a thinking person's
Yes, exactly.
rum.
Yes, very contemplative.
So this is 111.6 proof, the particular one you have tonight.
Yeah, this current batch. So this is a batch by batch product as well, right? So it's always cast strength, so it will change a little bit every batch you get, right? But yeah, I mean, for us, we get a lot more fruit from here. You see more floral elements come through here, right? And it's a beautiful rum. Add a little water. It doesn't need much. I mean, being a bartender, I'll mix a drink with anything, so I don't mind. Plus, I get rum on a pretty good deal, so I don't mind. I don't mind making a cocktail a little bit.
Well, this also, just so you guys know too, like this. I mean, as we're going through this, don't really trust your first sip. Trust your second sip, okay? Because as you're switching from one to the other, you sort of want to you need sort of a canceling out part of it. Because if you on the second sip of this, like I said, we talk about exploring. All of a sudden, I had a cola nut pop.
All right.
Like a cola nut flavor pop on this one. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So there's some other flavors that are going on in here that aren't going on necessarily in the other rums.
Agreed. Yeah, there's a lot of layers. You're still going to get some of that, the butterscotch notes and some of the oak influence, right? But yes, you're getting more of that fruit. You're getting, sometimes we'll see almost kind of anise out of this, right? A lot of stone fruit, some more elderflower sometimes, right? All these different things can sometimes come out of the Queen Chair.
What do you guys think of this one? Just out of curiosity, Navy Yard?
Any initial favorites? Yeah.
Any initial favorites? Navy Yard? There's no wrong answer. Please don't be shy. Navy Yard? Queen Chair. All right.
Anyone for BIB?
Bottled and Bond?
Got some BIBs.
There you go.
It's pretty
the BIB people were like, they're like hardcore.
That's what we like.
Right now,
that's what we like.
But different flavors though, right? Like totally different flavors going on, which is really cool. I mean, you also look up here too. You're going to see like this array of colors.
Yeah, I mean that's the exploration, right? I mean, obviously, you get color two ways: either artificially color or you put it in barrel, right? And of course,
no artificial coloring in this.
No sweetening, no coloring, no flavoring here. Everything is done naturally. So, your first use of oak, you're going to get all that. You're going to get more flavor of the oak, right? And you're going to get obviously more color, right? The more you use a barrel, because we really do love the nuance that used barrels can give us, you'll get a little bit less of that color, but it's a different expiration of time, and of oak and of the spirit within that barrel, right? So,
Right.
and what we found really is that we can do both of those. We really love where New Oak goes and does, up there in a relatively short amount of time. But we also like the way it's aging longer. And meanwhile, we have some used casks that we feel like, oh wow, I mean, we can sit this a little bit longer and it can really continue to evolve and be beautiful.
Yeah, you do have to. I mean, there is a delicate balance. You have to be very cautious with new oak, especially because as it ages, it's still going to be throwing stuff. Where the aging process can usually go on a little bit longer if you use the used barrel.
Yeah, it's a
And
great
depending on what
point.
you do.
And it's some of the things we're actually exploring now because, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are scared too. Like, oh, I don't want something to be over oaked, right?
Right. I don't want it to taste like a church pew.
Right. And it's and what are we seeing right now? This goes back to kind of, the temperature and the humidity, right? What we're seeing is that we can age a new American oak for longer periods of time because of the balance of the temperature. And what I mean by that is, we go in at 110 proof. But in the summertime, it's so dry and it's so cold that the water evaporates, right? And so the barrel will kick up to like 125, 130 proof. And then in the summertime, it's so, of course, hot and muggy that the alcohol will evaporate and will dip down to like 102 and 103, right? And then in the spring and the fall were the only times we can harvest casks because it's when the rum tastes its best
Right.
after those periods, right? But
It's
they're
either in or out of the. It's not all the way out of the barrel and not all the way in the
right.
barrel.
They're coming in and they're coming out, but they're coming in and out in a balanced way. So both water and alcohol is kind of seeing a fairly balanced extraction and coming in and out, right? And so we're pulling those flavors all the time, but what it's allowing it to do because the temperatures to do it in a balanced manner, right? So
Yeah.
we don't get too much of that oak. You're having this little dance that's happening that allows it to still have this kind of beautiful acidity to it despite all that, right? And so um there's something, there's something really kind of special up there that we're
Was that
exploring.
me? Who brought the cool kid? Thank you.
Hey.
Oh, that's my when I need to get the center cut of the bottle. I
Ah,
use this. So.
there you go.
All right. So now we got something completely different that really hasn't been done before,
Yeah.
which is really cool. Number 4 on your tasting sheet is actually a lock and key selection. So what we did is we took our rye barrel that we did at Sagamore down in Baltimore. Thought this was cool because it was like this sort of like old East Coast
Yeah,
thing.
East Coast love.
So in Baltimore, we took this barrel of rye whiskey that we did at Sagamore, which was called Pink Slip. All right, because we sort of did some funky things of moving some like the way we blended the ryes that were going into it, and it was sort of like the kid that was working there said like, well, you'll either go up in the company or you'll get fired. So we called it Pink Slip because we didn't know where it was going to go. And we got that barrel, we got that empty barrel. The rye was sold, and then we gave that barrel to you guys
Yeah,
up at Privateer, and we said, all right, we want to do something. We don't know what we want to do, and said, okay, well, let's do the queen share. We're going to do a queen share into it.
for sure.
So the cool part is this is over 6 years ago. So talking about waiting for something to get done 6 years ago. So
Yeah.
and what you have in front of you is basically a used rye barrel that we put queen share into. The distiller at the time was Maggie Campbell, who did this, who later went on to work in some really other Mount Gay, and then is doing some stuff down in Louisiana now. But this was sort of something weirdly that hadn't been done. Is like, okay, we're going to give you a barrel. I don't think everybody had given you
Yeah,
a
I mean,
barrel.
so yeah, sure we've done like cast finishes, right? And
Right.
you see that's much more normal, but the fact that this is basically a new make spirit, right? That we were starting from scratch with your
Right.
barrel to do that was, really something new and exciting for sure.
So here it is. It's the queen share. Well, did we call this queen share or did we call
Well,
it marquee?
it is the
Mark.
queen share distillate, but we
call-
didn't, you didn't name it a queen share, but it actually is a queen
queen
share
share, right.
distillate. Yeah. Aged in the Sagamore barrel. Cast strength, of course.
Yeah, what did the final thing come out? We just had this weekend. I should know that.
116, I believe.
116. Yeah.
think this showcases what what
Wow.
else our rum can do, right?
Yeah.
And having
Again,
a little bit
something
older.
different than what we just had.
Yeah,
I
very
mean, just
different.
the flavors going on there. I get that. I do get that stone fruit in there. It's
Yeah,
really,
a little more of
really
that coming through for sure.
Yeah. Do get that little, the rye does show up. It shows up with a little bit of that baking spice, which is really great.
Yeah, no, I see that too.
You know,
Yep, really pretty.
at 116, you can add a little water to this too. It's a little bit higher than the others that you've had tonight, which have been around a 111. So it's just a little bit higher. But the other part of this is we did it this weekend, when we opened this, is just like a drop of water, all these other flavors start popping.
Yeah.
This is where, like, I noticed you put, and it was one of the ones that we saw, is that those flower leaves, those elderflower and hibiscus,
Yep.
start to really show up on when you add a little water
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah, I mean I think that's a sign of a great pick as well, right? Is
Yeah.
that it continues to open up and evolve
Yeah.
in that, right?
What do you guys think of this? Do you like this one? Yeah, this is a one and done. This is we can't duplicate this.
165 bottles, so pretty
Yep,
pretty
that's
rare
it.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
165 bottles produced out of this. So we're pretty happy with it. It was let's put it this way. It was worth the wait.
only
what do
6
you think?
beers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not really. It's beautiful. Very, very, very soft and elegant.
Yeah, we already have some pre-orders on this too, so it's great. People have been waiting for this to come in.
Beautiful.
So, all right, number 5, Harbor Lights.
Yeah. So the next two are part of our latest Distiller's Drawer release. So Distiller's Drawer were something we've been doing for years now, and they're really just kind of special barrels, right? And not necessarily by default, right? They kind of become that way, right? Everything goes back there. And we control everything from the start in terms of, right, how do we get the best ingredients? Let's do a long, slow fermentation. Let's do a meticulous distillation. Once we put them out in that cellar, we let the barrels do their thing, right? And then we let the barrels, I mean, for lack of a better explanation, talk to us, right? So when Dylan goes back there and he's tasting the barrels, he's saying, "Oh, this would be a great Navy Yard. This will be a great part of our blend." And wow, this is something that's really special. Why don't we set it aside and age it for a little bit longer and see what happens.
See how something happens.
And so that's how really the majority of our Distiller's Drawer, especially the more recent ones, have kind of really come to fruition, right? So Harbor Lights is our first 8-year release. It sees a little more heat. I think this is 124 and change. Hello. It's a used whiskey cask as well. But why we liked it is because it is continuing, like Pink Smith, to tell us to really kind of tell us this used oak story over time, right? And we wanted to give everyone a little bit of a glimpse into that, right? We really like our used barrels, and we really want to do some lengthy aging of them, right? So this is just kind of a little snippet of that. And we like just the way our rum works and use whiskey casks in general as well. This was a bourbon cask as opposed to a rye.
Like a drop of water in that. Let it settle in. It's really good. You get some of those other flavors that you described. Again, come out. Especially that fig. Yeah. Fig really pops for me.
Yeah.
On that Harbor Lights.
Yeah, it's really. I think this is a great one to add a little bit of water to, for sure. It does open up, and it's really kind of. I mean, it's just that caramel is still there.
Yeah,
right?
no, everything else still.
Even though it's this light, it's interestingly, it still hangs around. Pretty good texture.
That's good. You guys like that one? That good? That's really good. Johnny's bringing you around. We're doing one extra.
One extra. Extra.
All right. So now the next one is another one, which is called Waypoint.
So Waypoint was our first 9-year release. We released these at the same time last fall, winter. Only 2 Distiller's Drawer single barrels, right? What are the stories we liked? Of course, with Harbor Lights, we love kind of the length and of used American oak story. And then we also wanted to continue to tell our new American oak story, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And for us, we wanted to really kind of see, where in our journey, and that's kind of why we call it Waypoint, right? It's kind of just a point along this journey, the next step of our new American oak story, right? So this happens again to be a Queen Share distillate in new American oak. The difference here too, though, is actually we've been progressively going up in proof, and now we're actually dropping back down for this last one here. This is 109 and change, and we actually went into barrel at 99 proof on this one. So we typically go in 110.
Yep.
We saw evaporation. We saw 10 points. It came up, right? But of course it dials in at around 109 because it went in a little bit lower. A little bit of a slower extraction, and again was just an opportunity for us to really,
It's got a very interesting finish.
yeah.
It's a very interesting finish. It reminds me of like a candy. And okay, this is gonna sound weird, but who ties up their this is gonna lead us to the next one. Who ties up their like plants in the wintertime and use jute rope? You ever use jute rope? It's because it stretches, so it doesn't hurt the plant. It's out of stretches, but it's got like sort of this like different texture. It's got a different texture, but it definitely has a different smell to it. And that this has that,
All
which
right,
I
very
find it
cool.
very, very interesting.
Very cool. I love that.
I actually used to have a bag of jute rope so I could, because people were like, and then they'd smell and they go, oh yeah, I know what that is. Sort of like it's almost leathery. It's almost like a broken in
Baseball mitt.
baseball mitt. Yeah. But that same
Yeah, I
sort of
think,
flavor.
I mean, and I
But it's
think,
not really leathery. It's more of this other flavor, other taste.
sure. And I think, I think you do see that, right? I mean, over time,
Right.
that fresh fruit becomes dry fruit. That, that some of those flavors become more kind of leathery and tobacco notes, right? That's kind of the progression you sometimes see, and we're seeing a little bit as some of
Right.
our rums are getting older. Again, it's one that really, goes down pretty darn easy for
Yeah, it does.
109 and change, and it's one of those that's just
And also, there's some vanilla too. You get vanilla bean.
you get a little more of that new oak essence, right? But
Yeah.
it's a pretty soft, softer in comparison to the oak
Yeah.
because of the lower entry
Right.
proof, right? And so
Yeah.
it's been kind of a little the
Did
extraction.
you guys like that one? It's your favorite.
All
All
right.
right. There you go.
Beautiful. Nice.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, like, look at the depth and breadth of the different rums we've had tonight. I mean, it's just really insane that, I get a lot of people, they do this in whiskey too, but they do it in the rum. Well, it's like, yeah, they're all sort of the same. No, they're not. And when you start using these different techniques and these different, like, let's see where it goes. Let's do that experiment.
Yeah.
People don't understand. That's a big, when you say to something like, let's see where it goes, and you leave it in the barrel, that can go like two different ways. That can go like, oh, it's really good, or we need to hide this now because it's not good. It didn't go well.
You're making
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're making a
definitely
choice.
the dice,
Right.
and
You're rolling the dice on
taking
this
some
stuff.
risk for sure.
Right. So you want to always make an educated risk.
Yeah, exactly. And
Right.
and
Where it's going to go. So, I mean, the more rum you do, the more distillation you do, the more educated your guesses or your risks are.
well, exactly. And what I've realized too is, look, when you're younger, you probably do more experiments, right?
Right.
And even our early distillers draw releases and a lot of our fun, different stuff that we used to do back in the day was part of our journey, and it kind of showed our breadth in a lot of ways, right? But what we've eventually realized is that we have a wealth of nuance right within, but by dialing in
Right.
exactly what we're doing.
Right.
Because the reality is that we're using the same ingredient, using the same proprietary blend of yeast. We're doing that meticulous 6-day fermentation. We're doing a very similar distillation every time. It's the same. We're going into the same American oak, right? But when it goes away, they're like people too. They're as they grow, they're their own thing, right?
Right.
And so as long as we can kind of, listen to that, right, and kind of guide it along the way. I mean,
Right.
there's a wealth of diversity just within that small little
Right.
bubble, right? So which is fun.
Well, and you also, being a smaller company, you have that sort of luxury of saying like, okay, here's the stuff we have to make, and it's very good. But here's the things that we can also show. We
For
can
sure.
showcase
For sure. No, it's good to be able to, yeah. I mean,
that I don't have to. It can be a one-off. I don't have to repeat this ever again.
yeah. I mean,
This is it. You like it, buy it, because it might not be the same. It's not going to be the same next time.
yeah, agreed.
I mean, look at what we just tried tonight. The last three. I mean, they're all different, and those are all like, those are really one-offs. They're not going to, like, you make that batch, it's done. So you're going to move on.
Yeah, there's one, but at the same time, we say, don't, yeah, buy it and drink it up because there's always another something different fun coming.
Well, there's always something, like, listen, they always say that the great thing about whiskey, and it applies to rum, is there's always more.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Yeah. So there's always more ways you can go at it and more ways you can see
And
it.
even with the core goods, what we really wanted to do is like coming out of COVID too, right? Was all right. Let's really dial in the core goods. Let's
Right.
get them to a spot where they're just really.
I know what I'm
really
going to get every time I pick that bottle up.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So I know what I'm going to get. All right. You guys got an extra, taste tonight. I didn't hear anybody complain about that.
Twisted.
Just, yeah, no. It's like, oh no, Ryan, you gave us another one. Terrible. How bad of you. All right. So this one here is a little bit different. This is a queen chair rum. And this was a lock and key bourbon cast finished. And we did, this is 3 years, 2 months. 106.8 was the ABV. And if I remember correctly, we gave a barrel for you guys to put these in, but we finished it in it.
Which one of this?
This is Riding Crop.
Oh yeah, of course, Riding Crop.
Yep.
I believe this is if and correct me if I'm wrong, but these are you gave us 2 barrels
2 barrels
at the same time.
Right.
January of 2020. We aged them. They're each queen chair ages, and then one we took a little. You took a little early. We liked the way it tasted, and one we extended.
We extended on right.
So this was all done at the same time.
This one was a bourbon barrel though,
but
not a rye
bourbon barrels instead. Right.
So this is it. We thought this was a lot of fun because it had some like these real, especially at a younger age. It was like I said, it's only 3 years, 2 months old. Try it, see what you think. But it had some of those leathery tones.
Yeah.
That had it. We actually made a drink with this. We actually put it with a spiced orange, Fever Tree spiced orange.
Nice.
And it was that was called, the drink was called the Slap and Tickle. So and well, it was a Riding Crop. It was this leather, you had this leathery sort of like taste profile.
Sure.
And we wanted to have some fun with it. That's why so this is all gone. You can't get this anymore. Thanks to Megazone here, brought his bottle in for us to try tonight. Thank you, sir. And this was a really fun one. We saw like this went very, very well.
Yeah.
I mean, this went very quickly too.
Great.
So this was a really fun project for us to do with you guys. And it's like I said, we ran the gamut. We did one, we said, okay, this is great. Let's do this. We ran the other one for 6 years. So one was 3 years, one was 6 years. It's almost, isn't it 4 months?
This is 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah, 6-4. So this one was 3-2. Double aged. That's probably pretty weird, right? Right on the dot too. That's not a weird.
That is wild.
All right. We didn't plan that. Just so anybody thought.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I know. I won't do that to people. No, we did not plan that, but that's what it is. So we tried it. Listen, Bob, I want to thank you for coming tonight. This was fantastic.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming.
We've been strong supporters of Privateer ever since it came out, and we will continue to do so. I want to thank everybody for joining us. You guys stay. Don't go anywhere. I want to thank everybody for joining us on Facebook. This also becomes a podcast. It's the Liquor Talking. You can get on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And it's also, we have a YouTube channel. So you can go to It's the Liquor Talking YouTube channel and get it. It was really great to have you here, but you should have been here because it was awesome.